Hey everyone, it's Mike Shaw with Planit for Photographers. Today let's talk about the Viewfinders capability of Planit. Now to get started, you access the Viewfinders from the bottom right of the screen. This button just here, called the Mode button. It's the one with the icon that looks like a viewfinder. It's the only way to access the different viewfinders. So when you tap on it, you see 6 buttons in a horizontal row down here and 4 buttons vertically. Each button in the horizontal row represents one of the 6 tools which we describe elsewhere. They're not the subject of this tutorial. But these 4 vertical buttons are your 4 viewfinders. Now while we've touched on the viewfinders in other videos, we're really going to describe each one in detail here. So to begin with, by far the most used viewfinder is the VR viewfinder. It's right down here at the bottom. Let's discuss it now, and I'm going to use the Half Dome in Yosemite National Park in California as our example, as you can see here. So let's go ahead and set Half Dome as the scene location. Now let's search for the Tunnel View parking lot. We'll find it like this, and we'll set it as the camera location. Now just out of curiosity, we can switch over to the distance tool like this, and we can see the distance between the 2 locations is just over 13 kilometers. Now we'll return to the focal length tool by tapping the Mode button and selecting it like this. We can adjust the green fan to point to Half Dome, and as you know, that's the camera view direction. Now the magic happens. Tap the Mode button again and select the VR viewfinder, and look at this. It's an actual simulation of what the scene looks like from that camera location. Now is this great or what? Now as a side note, when you choose the VR for the first time for an area, it's going to give you a prompt and ask you to download some offline elevation files. The elevation files are for a radius with about 100 kilometers, and it's a one-time thing. For the same location, it won't ask you to download them again. If you change to a different location, it'll ask you to download only the missing files. So choose yes if you're on Wi-Fi or if you don't care about data usage. Okay, so once you have the elevation files, Planit draws in the simulated terrain based on these data. And this is key. The simulation is based on actual data for your area of interest. And I can assure you from countless times in the field, the simulation is remarkably similar to what the scene looks like in real life. And the benefit of this ability can't be overestimated. The VR viewfinder allows you to scope out the view without ever leaving the comfort of home. And you can fine-tune the camera location to get this best scene possible. Just think of how much time and energy this is going to save you in the field. Okay, so what do we do with this? Well, first of all, the scale on the bottom can be dragged, like this, to vary the direction of view. This scale represents the azimuth of the simulated camera viewfinder. And you're probably familiar with the azimuth term by now. It simply refers to the compass directions, such as east and south and so forth. And we describe it using degrees, with 0 being north. Now when you drag the scale like this, you'll see the content in the viewfinder change as if your camera is panning left and right. One other thing you can change is the elevation angle, which is basically your camera's tilting angle. You can also adjust this by dragging the scale on the right like this. Now if you look carefully right just here, you can see a thick line that indicates the center of the view. If you place 0 at the center, it means that your camera is leveled vertically like this. So as you can see, by adjusting both directions, you can really fine-tune and choose the best composition. Now you can also adjust the 2 angles by dragging directly in the viewfinder like this. Okay, so it's exactly the same thing as dragging the degree scales on the bottom and the side. The key difference is when you drag the scales directly, you can adjust the azimuth and the elevation angle independently. But if you drag inside the viewfinder, it changes both of them at the same time. And that's the only difference. Now you can also use 2 fingers to pinch and zoom the viewfinder to adjust the angle of view or the field of view like this. Isn't that cool? Notice how the focal length correspondingly changes at the same time up here. Now you may or may not prefer the 2-finger pinching method. Sometimes it's preferable to tap the focal length display and select a predefined focal length to adjust the angle of view like this. Now let me pause here for just a moment, just in case you're following along with me on the app and you don't see the focal length value displayed. The reason is you're not on the focal length tool, which is easy to fix. Just tap the Mode button down here to switch to the focal length tool like this. And the focal length value will appear right just here. For example, let me switch to the first tool, which is coordinates. And you'll see the coordinates displayed right here, but there's no focal length. For the second tool, there's no focal length either. Only the third and the fourth tools have focal length values displayed. The fourth tool is depth of field, which is also related to the focal length. The fifth tool also has focal length displayed, but is different from the previous two. This one relates to panoramas, so the focal length here will change to what focal length to use for the individual single shots. It won't change the angle of view here. Only the third and the fourth tool is the focal length value for the one we only have for a single shot. So now let's talk about the different buttons you can see around the viewfinder. The first button on the top left is the Viewfinder Settings, and it's actually the same as what you can access from the menu. The button here just provides a quicker way to access the features from the main page because it will jump directly to the settings for the viewfinder. Here you can choose what information to show, since too much information in the viewfinder will clutter up the display and make it difficult to read. So you can experiment with this and see what settings you prefer for your needs. The second button on the top left is the 3D button. Tap on it and you'll see a more detailed drawing of the terrain. You'll see a lot of details of the terrain. For example, El Capitan is nearby here, Cathedral Peaks are over here on the right, and so forth. And especially when you're using a long telephoto lens like we are here, the simulation is very clean, as you can see. Now, the 3D tool needs a lot of calculation to display, so a faster phone really helps. And that's why when you move the viewfinder like this, okay, you can see there's a slight delay in the drawing. Okay, so that's the 3D option. Over here on the right, you'll see a compass button. This activates your phone's orientation sensor. I'm not going to demo it here, but if you lift your phone up and move it around, you can see how the contents of the viewfinder changes along with it once you've activated it. And now, due to the slow performance of the 3D viewfinder, it's not a great idea to enable the orientation sensor when you have the 3D enabled. In fact, I don't normally use it all that often, and I should note that it's really the same orientation that you access from the menu right over here. Now, something to keep in mind is that the VR can also use only the offline data if you choose to. Just be sure to download the offline files like we did at the beginning before you lose service. This way, even when you're in a remote area without any internet access, you can still use the 3D terrain as you see here. Okay, so let's now do an example. Suppose one day we're at the Tunnel View parking lot in Yosemite, and we want to know where the sun will be when it rises. Now from this viewfinder, you can see exactly where the sun will be by viewing the 3D terrain. Now note, by the way, there's a tutorial on using the Sun and Moon Finder over here. Okay, so you can see for this date, the sun's going to rise right next to Half Dome. So now you can plan your composition perfectly ahead of time. You got the time, the date, so you're all set to create a time lapse or even adjust the camera location to get a better composition if you like. So good, now you're all set with the VR viewfinder, one of my favorites. Okay, so now let me show you how to use another Planit viewfinder, the Picture Viewfinder. This is my second favorite viewfinder mode, and it allows you to use an actual photograph to plan your perfect shot. So start by tapping on the button like this, and you can see that there are several ways to choose a photo to use. When we're at home, I usually pick an existing photo from my phone, or I select one that I've worked with before. Now, after selecting any of the photos using these options, the photo is shown in the viewfinder like that. Is that great or what? Now, at the moment, this image isn't ready to be used yet, since we haven't defined any of the parameters or calibrated them, specifically the focal length, the azimuth, or the elevation angle. The only thing that is kind of set is the camera location, since we know that the photograph was taken at the Tunnel View parking lot. So, to properly calibrate the photo so we can use it, we first need to accurately set the camera location on the map before going to the viewfinder, so we can go back to where this was taken here. Now, how are we going to determine the focal length, elevation angle, and azimuth? Of course, if you took the photo yourself, you already have this information, but even if you don't, there's an easy way. Use this button right here, tap on it, and you'll notice the 3D terrain in the viewfinder is now showing up over the photo as a transparent layer. You can now see the simulated Half Dome right here, but it's much bigger than what we see in the photo. Here's the real one, which is much smaller. So what this means is that the focal length we chose for the simulation, 160 millimeters, is just too long. So let's change it now to 40 millimeters just to see how much that helps. Okay, that's better. As you can see, the sizes of the terrain are now very close. Let's fine tune it to 45 millimeters. Even better. Okay. Now you also have the option of turning on the 3D view like this. So let's adjust the simulated terrain so that it matches the real terrain. Okay, they're pretty good now. Half Dome is here, Cloud Dress is over there. Everything matches pretty well. And typically, if you can match two features between the actual photo and the simulation, it means the focal length is correct. Then you simply adjust up and down or left and right and fine-tune the match, and you're good to go. You can also adjust the two directions separately, which may be easier for you. And after they match, we can now turn off the overlay. The photo is calibrated, and we can now use it in the Picture Viewfinder. But first, let's save the calibration information. To do that, tap the red information button up here. And on the left side of this pop-up window, you can see the current settings, which is what we just set, the location, focal length, azimuth, and elevation angle. Just tap the Save button down here. Done. Now you'll see the information button is no longer red, and that means that the calibrated values have been saved. So what we actually did is we saved a metadata file along with a photo. And this way, when you load the same photo again, we load the metadata along with it and set all the values so you don't have to go through the whole calibration process all over again. So that way, if you tap the button again, you can see we have both sides have the exact same values. And of course, you can change them further if you want. Let's say, for example, that the original estimation of the focal length is a little bit off, and we should set it to 46 millimeters. Easy. Just go back to the focal length list. Enter the value of 46 millimeters like this. Set it. Go back to the information button. And you can now see the current value for the focal length is 46 millimeters. So now we have a choice, and you can tap either one to choose which one to save. If we choose 45 millimeters and tap Save, the newly set value of 46 millimeters will be reset back to 45 millimeters. But if you select 46 millimeters and save, then the photo metadata file will be updated to 46 millimeters. All right, so once we've set the photo calibration parameters, we can do a lot of planning with this photo, and it's visually much better than the simulated VR viewfinder. So for example, let's search for the moon. Choose the full moon. Select the area. I want the moon to appear like this. And you can see now that we have the photo to use as a reference, and we have a much better sense of where the moon should be to create the best composition. And you can see for the next 1 year, we have these results. Here they are. The moon is right here, and so on. Totally easy to visualize with the actual photo. And we can also check for star trails. What do they look like? Easy. We'll use the star trail tools like this. Long press on the ending time, and you'll see the star trails as an overlay. How about the Milky Way at this location? Switch the Milky Way seeker, like this. Adjust the time slider until you see the Milky Way core appear, like this. Now, you can see the central band of the Milky Way, but the Milky Way core is way off to the right and is blocked by these mountains. So right away, you can see how this exercise just saved you a wasted trip if your goal was to shoot the Milky Way core over Half Dome from tunnel view. And now you can see you're going to need a different location. Okay, so once you're done with your planning, you can save the plan as a file like this. And we can load it back anytime in the future to review it or to discover more opportunities. Now you should notice that one big advantage of the Picture Viewfinder is that when it's used correctly, it is the most accurate viewfinder among all the 4 options. Now, of course, for most terrain landscapes, the VR is probably accurate enough, but for buildings, you need to get the exact building height and width, and you add markers to represent those. And sometimes it's really hard to get the exact building dimensions, and you might not be patient enough to add in all the buildings for a landscape. But if you take a photograph of the buildings and use it as a picture viewfinder like you just saw, you just need to calibrate the photo with 2 buildings, and you have a much more accurate viewfinder to use to plan in the future. And that's the biggest advantage of the Picture Viewfinder. Okay, so there's 2 more viewfinders, the AR viewfinder and the street view. Let's go each of those 2 now. Now the big advantage of the AR viewfinder is it's easier to get started. Without any preparation, you just open it up on the scene and go ahead and use it. Now there's 2 serious limitations though. The first is that you actually have to be on the scene to use it. And this can be a big problem when the idea of planning is to do it from home. But the second one is even more serious, and it really isn't accurate enough, with the azimuth being off by 5 to 10 degrees. And that's because the orientation sensor just really isn't accurate enough for both iPhones and Androids. And to make matters worse, there's no way to tell whether it's accurate enough in a given situation. Maybe one time it's perfectly accurate, but the next time it's off by 5 degrees. And without verifying it using some other approach, there's really no way to tell. So actually, every time I use the AR in a critical application, I also use the VR to verify it. So now, instead of going through all the trouble, I just generally use the VR. And I can say from my own experience in the past few years, I've come to use the AR in just a few times when alignment isn't that critical, like the general orientation of the Milky Way core, for example. But in general, I'd rather use the sun or the moon or the stars to determine the precise direction, and only when none of the other ways work is my last resort to AR or the Compass app. Okay, the final viewfinder is the Street View right just here. Now, the Street View could be a super useful feature because you can show the sun and the moon and everything as an overlay directly on it. Unfortunately, Google recently started to charge a fee for using it, which of course we totally understand. However, the price is just too steep for normal usage, and so we had to remove the integrated Street View from the app. Now, it may come back as a paid feature. Just let us know what you think about that. The best thing you can do now, though, is just to launch Street View in the Google Map app by tapping this button. And then if it's available, we can see the Street View at the camera location like this. The only downside is there isn't any ephemeris overlay. But other than that, that's it for the Viewfinder features. And as you can see, they have the ability to totally revolutionize your planning. So until next time, this is Mike Shaw saying thanks for watching and good luck planning with Planit.